always tell when a streak's going to come to an end. You win a couple of games, you probably shouldn't.
There are teams out there that could use that quality of playoff goaltending. All right, Ray, you ready to do this?
Yep, let's go.
Powered by Reb Media in partnership with TSN, it is season 7 of the Rain Dregs Hockey Podcast, presented by our title sponsor, Tim Hortons, welcoming the newest addition to the popular Frozen Quencher lineup. Poppin' Frozen Quenchers. These truly unique drinks explode with poppin' candies that are blended throughout and heaped on top for good measure, creating a sensory experience in this refreshingly icy and creamy drink. Hello, Ray. How are you? How was your Father's Day? Were you just lavishly spoiled on Sunday? You got through it okay? How was it?
It seems like Father's Day is more of an event when the kids are younger.
Yeah,
So
you're right.
I had an amazing day. The highlight, I played golf at 3:30 in the afternoon with Landon, Riley, and Reese. And
Nice.
Matt unfortunately couldn't be here. He's out of town. And so we had a great day. But I had to remind them it was Father's Day. And so the day before, I reminded Cammie and the boys, and then I booked the golf and bought dinner. So
yeah.
they had a great Father's Day too. It was was really good. How was yours?
You know, it was super quiet. I mean, obviously, both kids are not here, and so I don't think I was annoyed. It's always a bit of a game with me. I don't know how you are, when you wish Cammie a happy Mother's Day or happy birthday, happy anniversary, any of that. But I feel like it's always best case scenario to, as soon as you get up, when you're both up, okay, happy anniversary, happy birthday, happy Mother's Day. Here's the gift, the flowers, all of that. So I'm Mason was the first to wish me a happy Father's Day at around 12:30 p.m. Eastern. So around noon, right?
Yeah.
And then Katie came in about mid-afternoon. And I'm like, you know what? 10 years ago, that would have annoyed me. I would have went, wait a minute. You get up in the morning, the first thing you have to do on Father's Day is wish your dad happy Father's Day. But
Right.
the kinder, gentler version of me, I just said, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, we had a chat and that was that. So it was quiet. Watched the U.S. Open, barbecued some ribs. It was pretty quiet.
Yeah, the early call now doesn't, it doesn't matter. They're adults. They got things to do. They're busy. They're like,
Exactly.
oh yeah, forgot it's Father's Day. Or Paulie texts them and said, hey, you guys, get on this. Because
I
that's a
accused her of
possibility
that.
too.
I accused her of it, and she denies that was the case. But it had that feel to it. Yes.
Now I will say the one guy, Riley, he's the one that is off to college first year last year. He's come back. He does things now to just put like a stick in the spokes just on purpose. And so like he walks by about 6 or 7 times yesterday, doesn't say a word, but I can tell he's just doing it on purpose. And then finally he's like,
I love this kid.
He goes, happy Father's Day, buddy. And I'm like, buddy? And he's like, oh, Rezo, happy Father's. And so he just does it. He calls me Rezo. And so these donkeys. So anyways, it was great. I hope everybody had a good Father's Day. And the other thing about Father's Day, I will say, I always take a few minutes to remember my dad, because I was incredibly lucky. My dad was everything to me. And it's crazy. He's been gone longer than he was alive in my life. But I always take a few minutes to remember. And I hope people get to do that too. But man, he was a great man. And so we had a good day and got through it with no major mishaps, which is always good. I didn't have to the barbecue. You like the barbecue. I'm a little iffy on it. So.
I don't
All
mind it. I
good.
actually did some yard work. I looked after the ribs,
Oh,
all that, but that's all part of, for me, a Father's Day routine.
hang on.
So it was
Look after
nice.
the ribs. What the hell do you look after ribs? You throw them on the barbecue. That's it.
Well, yes, but it's a three two
Oh,
one process, Ray. It's a 3-2-1 process. 3 hours at 225, right? Uncovered, just a dry rub, uncovered. Then 2 hours with barbecue sauce, and you cover them at 225, and then the
okay.
final hour is at 275, uncovered, and then you get that nice bark on the ribs from the sauce.
I'd forget halfway
Yeah,
through the 2 hour part, and then yeah, it
yeah.
wouldn't happen.
3-2-1.
So
All right, man. We are we it's Monday as we record this episode, and we are building for a week of chaos.
yeah.
Potentially chaos. And that's fine. I'm here for it. We're going to get through some of it here in our headlines, brought to you by the Canadian Brew House. Hey, real fans, you know the move because you do it all the time. Best case, you arrive early. Happy hour at the Canadian Brew House runs Monday to Saturday, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Skip the couch, hit the Canadian Brew House. It's your home for every puck drop, every goal, every cheer, every touchdown, every putt. Go down the list. It's where you need to be. Their house is your field and your arena. Okay, Brady Tkachuk in a Father's Day
Yep.
blockbuster. That's what it was. Traded to the Florida Panthers for 3 first-round draft picks, Ray, and a second-round draft pick. So a 4-pick package for Brady Tkachuk. And the former Sens captain obviously made it clear to Sens management that he would not be extending in Ottawa in 2 years from now. So he reportedly supplied a list, 4 teams. But come on, at the end of the day, it was about Brady Tkachuk landing in Florida with the Panthers with his brother Matthew.
Yeah.
So describe your level of shock when you saw on social media, obviously, that this had transpired.
Well, when the final note comes that the trade's been done, it's always a little bit stunning to read the players connected. But earlier in the day, the the Samaskevich trade happened where he went to Seattle for a first,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
went, yeah, this does not make sense because Florida is not collecting first rounders. The only thing they were
Right.
doing was collecting them to move them, and so
Yeah.
I don't think I quite put together that it would be Kachuk. Like I didn't. Um, but them collecting first rounders was
Yeah.
the flag was up. So
Mm.
if you, I guess Ottawa takes a boot in the shins here, because they lose, well, the only player in the deal at this point, and you don't know what's going to come now that they've got all these first round picks. But
Hmm.
at a certain point, we've seen, and we'll talk about like the certain players carry the hammer, and that's
Yeah.
just the way it is. And you have to do the best around it that you can. And you can critique the return. Um, sure, it could always be better, but at a certain point, like you don't have any leverage. You've got nothing.
Yeah.
He's going to go, and um, all of a sudden, though, like how about Florida? They miss the playoffs after 2 cups. They end up with the 9th pick. They make a trade and get another pick, and now they reload. And when you read those lines on paper, now that paper
Oh
doesn't
boy.
always translate. It doesn't always translate to ice, but
Yeah.
that looks like a hell of a team. Now they need a goalie, and they got to figure
Yeah.
that out.
Yeah.
But that looks like a hell of a team, man.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, there was some criticism. There will be some criticism. The fact that Ottawa did not get an NHL player back. However, I do know that as soon as the deal was announced, Staios' phone started ringing, right?
Of
And that would
course.
be teams calling, all right, we need to move up in the draft, or we want another top 10 pick. So what do you need for number 9? What do you need for 9 and 25? Like Staios is going to manufacture those picks into at least a top 6 forward.
Now, Dregs, if I'm correct, they do have the 32nd pick, but they cannot move that, correct?
Correct. Can't trade 32. That's right.
So now they have the 9 that they just got from Florida. They got their own 25.
Yeah.
And so it feels like there's certain teams that if they're collecting first round picks, like Chicago's been doing and San Jose had been doing, collecting draft picks, those feel futuristic. And
Agreed. Yeah.
Ottawa with first round picks does not feel futuristic. It feels in the now. And so
Yeah.
now you look around, and so there's another step to this, of course, is that one player has just left because he didn't want to stay in Canada, and that's Brady Tkachuk.
Yeah.
And so the players that they're trying to acquire, they might have to look at those players a little bit differently.
Mm.
Who's interested in being in Ottawa for more than a short period of time? Although, how long was Brady in Ottawa? 7, 8 years, right?
8 years. Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's not like he was here for 2 years and said, I don't want to do it. But that's just another piece of data that Ottawa's got to deal with.
Hey, by the way, we're going to continue. I want your thoughts on this trend that we've seen established here. And I don't know if it's fair to say it dates back to Quinn Hughes getting traded by Vancouver to Minnesota, but there's definitely, a pre and a post Olympic development that involves these American players. So hold that thought for just a moment, because Ryan Rishaug has actually broke some news live on the pod here, and on X.
What's he got?
Connor Murphy extending with the Oilers 5 years at $4.1 million per, says Ryan Rishaug. So Stan Bowman getting some business done, right? We'll talk about Babcock coming up later in this edition of Headlines here on the pod. But Jason Dickinson gets extended, and now Connor Murphy. So at least 2 pieces that they had last year that they acquired last year, good pieces too, are coming back at I would call that an affordable deals on both fronts.
Man, I wish I was 30 years old. I would have been so affordable at $4 million bucks. Like good for Connor is I know Connor. I don't know Jason Dickinson. Connor is an 11 out of 10 as a kid. He really is.
Nice.
And he plays a style that fits what Edmonton was trying to round out their defense with. Now we'll see what they do with Nurse, but now at a certain point, you only got one puck on the ice. And you need guys that can be effective, goofy as this would sound, be effective without the puck.
Yeah.
And so I'll give you an example off the Stanley Cup team that just won, and that's Jalen Chatfield. Mm-hmm. He makes a good first pass. He skates well. He doesn't need the puck to be effective. He can play with a really good player. And he played with Slavin, and that became part of their shutdown pair. And I'm not saying they're the same player, but Murphy can play without the puck. Dickinson does not need the puck to be effective. So these are I like these signings for a team that is in a I'm going to say it's a tight window.
Yeah.
Because there's certainly uncertainty about what the future might hold for them. I think they went off the rails about 6 different ways last year, and they're gonna try and bump it back, back on track. And I think these are 2 good pieces for them.
Yeah. Okay. And I think we can speak in a sense of finality that Mike Babcock's arrival in Edmonton is imminent, right? I mean, he's been cleared by the National Hockey League. The PA just wanted, the due diligence, and Babcock could face the allegations through a league investigation. That's happened. So what will intrigue you most about Mike Babcock joining the Edmonton Oilers?
Okay, so I think the noise around the investigation and his conduct in Columbus, however people view that. I mean, there's no way you can be supportive of what he was trying to do, which I think part of it was just not having the awareness of what exactly he was asking for. Like
Right.
I think there was a lack of an awareness to it. And there's a bucket load of stories about Babs not being a very good guy to some of his players. There's a bucket load of stories about him being one of the best tacticians in the game. However, he got fired in Toronto not because he treated people poorly. He got fired in Toronto because the team lost its way. That was
Yeah.
the last time he coached in the NHL. So I'm more interested in that than I am in the investigation stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Because that the investigation stuff, I don't have firsthand knowledge to it. I know it was, wanting to see guys' pictures out of their phones and whatever the hell else went on. I do know, and I know from, Landon's told me a couple stories about when he was in Detroit and some of his travails there. And there's enough stuff around it that's one side of it. The other is he had very good players in Toronto, but they couldn't find the next step. In Edmonton, they've already got the first step. They make the playoffs. They're looking for the next step. So 2 years ago, they lost in 6 games. 3 years ago, they lost in 7 games. That's the level they're talking about. Can he do that? Can he shape that team in that way? And that, to me, honestly, Dregs, that's the only thing that I'm interested in, because there are some very obvious holes on that team. And, can he help coach around those holes?
We'll stick with the Western Canadian theme here for a little bit, but I do want to go back then to having a conversation about the Americans trying to flood their way south from Canadian teams. I think that the Brady Tkachuk trade definitely impacts Winnipeg and what they're doing with Connor Hellebuyck. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame goaltender. I don't think that there's any question about that. Maybe there is. I don't know. But, you're dealing with a bigger pool because Hellebuyck has provided more teams that Cheveldayoff can deal with. But are you ever getting enough back? And if you're Winnipeg, are you looking at the return that the Sens just got for Brady? Again, that doesn't have an actual NHL player coming back. Nice draft picks, good draft picks, but the work is just starting there. You look at Winnipeg's lineup, Ray. I mean, we know they need that number 2 center. They'd like to add another defenseman. What are they going to do in goal if Hellebuyck goes out the door? Don't you feel you have to get some of those pieces back as part of this? And that might be why it's not going to be that easy for Winnipeg to move on Connor Hellebuyck. But I think they will, but it's not going to be easy.
So I do think the return of a goalie has to be part of it. The return of, when I say has to be part of the goal of the trade. Because you can go there and start asking teams for whatever you want. And I'm sure that Ottawa didn't say, hey, let's make this trade and I don't want any NHL players back. I'm pretty sure that's not what Steo started with. But eventually you get to a point, this is the only deal you can make. Is it the best deal I can make? Then you have to wash your hands of it and say, I'm either going to step off the curb or I'm not. And I think Winnipeg will get to that point. Now, there's some pretty obvious places. And the one I will say, because I think it, to me, it stands out, is Buffalo.
Okay.
That's a team that was, finally breaks their stretch. They have, you can see the growth that team took and what it might take to be in the next step. And one of the places is in goal. In their series loss to Montreal, they were out goaltended for sure. There's no question. And so you've got Luukkonen and Lyon and Ellis. And if I'm Buffalo, I would like to improve that. And I said before, I don't like throwing names out, but to me, there's a couple players that might fit that center position and might fit the goaltending position that they could make a deal that wouldn't strip Buffalo of too many assets that they couldn't make that type of deal. So to me, if I'm thinking around the league, that's the one that steps out to me.
Right. Now I'm trying to think of the centers.
Think young. Think young.
Well, I did hear Josh Norris's name, not related to
younger.
Winnipeg. Yeah,
Younger.
Interesting. All right. Well, definitely something we'll keep an eye on for sure. But now it brings us.
I'll get back to the U.S. guys.
Yeah.
Every U.S. player, every U.S. born player doesn't have the clout to tell their NHL team, yeah, I'm not staying here, trade me south. Right. They don't, because a lot of them will say, well, good, we'll go sit at home, and when I get around to it, I'll figure it out. So we talk about Quinn Hughes, we talk about Brady Tkachuk, we're talking about Connor Hellebuyck. The danger becomes the stars are the ones that are saying, I'm going down south.
Right.
And then you end up with the haves and the have-nots, which I think is a danger of the way this cap and the way the league is built, is that there's going to be teams that are going to spend to, what is it this year? 103,
104. Yeah.
Yeah. And then 113 next year. There's going to be there's going to be teams that'll spend to that. And there's going to be some other teams that are going, yeah, you know what? My cap's 95 million.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it's going to be.
If you were an owner, I want to talk about Dallas and what's going on with Jason Robertson, because you want to talk about a big fish.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't get much bigger than Jason Robertson. So if you're a Canadian owner, how concerning is this for you? Like, again, if it's probably unfair to call it a trend. We're talking about a few players, but they're significant players, right?
Right.
Is it concerning enough where you go into the draft and you go, okay, we need a foundational piece. Best player available. That's what every team says. I'm taking the best player available. Happens to be an American. Are you looking at the next best player, or are you going, no, he's the best player available, so I'm going to draft that player, and we'll worry about whether or not he becomes a trade asset down the road. Let's just take the best player.
No, I'm not walking past that player. If you draft him, unless it's a situation like Brett Lindros. I played with Eric, where he said, I'm not coming. I'm not coming to Quebec, and they drafted him anyway. Right? Like unless it's a situation like that, this player in most cases has no mobility until 26, 27 years old.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at it in that sense. If he's the best player, man, you can't push past the best players. Here's the other thing.
I agree. Yeah.
Say you get to a place and year 3 he says, "Oh, I want to leave." Well, you have his rights. You have the asset. You have the trade. The trade leverage. That's maybe you become more proactive with players.
Yeah.
To see as their career unfolds, but for the most part, if I were a Canadian team, I'd ask Chase Reed, what are your thoughts on coming to Canada?
Yeah.
I would do it for sure. The kid is awesome. He's a terrific young prospect.
Yeah.
But his interviews I meant interviews with teams, but interviews publicly have said, yeah, I don't have a problem. I just want to go where I'm drafted. I want to. So I think that's a little different. Now, Jason Robertson, he's fascinating to me. I think I've said this before. I find him to be one of the more unique players in the league.
Yeah.
Because there are not many players that can score out of nothing like him. He's bigger than you think. He's stronger than you think. There are times he looks like the puck just never leaves his stick. And then there are other times where you're like, oh, I didn't really see much of him. Boom, goal and an assist.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a good team and I have room, I'm monitoring what Dallas is able to do there in a big
Yeah.
way.
Well, I'll bring you up to speed on that. And we got to be careful. I mean, we're talking about the here and now, and things can change very quickly with a phone call, right? But this has been a difficult negotiation, to say the least, between Andy Scott, who represents Jason Robertson, and Jim Nill and Tom Gillardy and the Dallas Stars. And as of right now, the sense I'm getting is it's more likely than not they trade Jason Robertson. Not saying they will, but it's more likely than not. Now, there are other options that could be considered. Go to arbitration, deal with that, and then potentially trade him next season. But it's just the dollars and the term that some of these top guys command that if you're a cap team, and Dallas is always that, can be crippling.
Okay, so let's say they go to arbitration. Walk me through this. They go to arbitration, they get a 1 or a 2-year award.
Yeah. One.
They
Yeah.
won. So if you were to trade Robertson now going into free agency,
Right.
your return would be pretty sparse.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
If you sign him in arbitration and you trade him with the rest of the contract, which is the rest of next year,
Mm-hmm.
would you not get a better return?
I would think so. Yeah.
Now, of course, you've got to
the
be able
sign
to.
and trade, right?
Yeah.
You avoid all of that.
But I was just thinking on the arbitration part.
Yeah.
If you can get through the wickets and make the cap fit, which is the whole other thing, would that not be something you would look at? Like the options are not as straightforward, I think, as sign them or get you get a 3rd round draft pick. Like who cares, right? Like that's not making you whole because that's what Gensel got. I think when he got traded was a 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It seems like it would be really tough. You've got Ranton in there already, and he's making a big buck, and you'd have Robertson there. At like Wyatt Johnson's new deals kicking in. They've always looked for another defenseman. Like, man, it's hard. They're already. Just think of how difficult this is. I just had this thought. So it's easy to improve your team. When you get into the stratosphere of where Dallas is, to improve, the amount you have to improve, which is not very much, and what it costs are not equal. Like it costs it costs heavy, and there's very few players that can help you over the line.
Yeah.
Right? When you're a lousy team, there's all kinds of players that can help you be better. But when you're a really good team, it becomes really difficult to find that guy.
I mean, there's so much going on right now, negotiating wise, right? We're talking about pending free agents. Go back to Buffalo. I know that the Sabres have re-engaged with Alex Tuch. Maybe there's a fit there to keep him away from July 1st in free agency. And maybe that goes hand in hand with the interest that we know they're getting in Bo Byram, right? You move one piece, you save a bit of money, and now you're looking at holding on to Alex Tuch. And I think that's happening in varying forms around the league, not just in some of the hot spots that we've talked about here.
Well, if the reported asking price of Tuch is legit, you can see where Buffalo's like, they just watched the playoffs. He didn't.
Yeah, like
he didn't
10 plus, you're saying per,
Yeah. Like is Alex Tuch, and I'm not naive to the world has changed.
Yeah.
But he had a career year. He got into the playoffs and had a great first round. He was awesome against Boston and nothing against Montreal, like 0.
Yeah.
And so what pause does that give you if you're the general manager? and the owner. You're like, it's great he's from Western New York. It's great he was a Sabres fan growing up. All that's awesome.
Yeah.
But are you willing to commit that $10 million figure? And then Tuch's agent is got to try and judge, is there anybody that thinks this is a good idea? Because he only needs one team, right?
That's right.
Alex, that's all they need is just one team to go, you know what? We can plunk him on our second line, and that changes the look of our team. And there very easily could be a team to do that. Like, he's a good player.
He is a good player.
But Buffalo's got to try and make everything fit for what they're trying to do going forward as well. And you're right, Byram and the return of Byram, if they do move him, that plays a factor.
Yeah. All right. We'll wrap up headlines with we didn't skip over the Maple Leafs. There's just been so much news that has transpired since they completed the sign and trade with Tampa Bay and acquired Darren Raddysh. Your thoughts on that? There's talk that Tampa Bay's final offer was in the 6-year round there at less than $7 million per. And we know Toronto sent a 5th-round draft pick just to jump the queue to get to Raddysh, who was scheduled to be an unrestricted free agent, and paid dearly at 8 years, $8.5 million per. It's affordable if you're getting the Raddysh that we saw this past year, right? And I guess that's what you do, as any club would do. You gamble on the player that you think you're going to see for the foreseeable future. Hopefully, in Toronto's case, he's a 30-year-old guy who's played 249 games. Hopefully, that's at least for the next 4, 5, 6 years.
So he went 6 goals, 22 goals.
Yeah.
He had one of the premier passers in the last decade, laying them apples out there to just walk into. And I'm telling you, if you have not seen him shoot, it is a weapon. It is. Lots of players just say, "Oh, that guy's got a bomb." His is different. It comes off his stick, and it feels like every shot is like last year. It felt like every shot was going in the net.
Yeah.
Like that's what it felt like. So I'm thinking of him as he's going to get out on the point. He's going to run the power play. They never really had a power play quarterback in Toronto, like a guy to stand up there and just bomb it. They haven't had somebody. So you've got Nylander or Matthews over on that side. If it's Matthews playing, if you replace Kucherov with Matthews, how does that work? Is Austin Matthews a passer? Yeah. All of a sudden I think one of his biggest weapons, Darren Raddysh's biggest weapons, is his ability to shoot it. I mean, you can see that, but to get himself into a spot to shoot it.
Yeah.
But the delivery is not going to be there in the same way. And I think that's that becomes a real question for me.
Yeah.
That 8 years, I don't know. I know how I felt at age 37, and it wasn't the way I felt at age 30. So, well, I mean, that's what they chose to do. But I guess I'm most concerned with the 6 goals, 22 goals, and the lack of Kucherov.
Yeah.
To me, those are factors that you have to think about now. And so I read something today, Dregs. You tell me if this on the likely, non-likely is Matthew Knies' name has been all around.
Yeah.
Possible movement.
Correct.
And that they would want, a high 1st-round pick, certainly in return. Explain to me, if that is correct, you trade and sign a defenseman that's 30 years old, and now you're trading a power forward that are very hard to find for an 18-year-old. Yeah. Those two things don't match to me. And so when I read that, I'm like, those two those two moves each of itself, whether I agree or not, I can see what the thought is. But together, how do
Yeah.
those two marry? They
Yeah.
don't.
No, I hear you. I think, and I've said this repeatedly, John Chaika is on a fishing expedition. He's not actively shopping Matthew Knies because he knows that type of player is a player that as soon as you trade him, you're looking for the next Matthew Knies. He's kind of a
Right.
unique sort of commodity. But if you could get the second pick overall from San Jose, do you listen on something like that? If you can get a legit number 2 center, if you can get another top young defenseman in a package for Knies, I think you listen to that. But I honestly, Ray, I don't think Chaika is keenly interested or motivated to trade him. I don't. I think this is all about if somebody wants to knock our socks off, we'll listen to that.
Sure.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Well, again, if you end up, I don't know. I guess you can ask for anything you want.
Right.
It gives me pause. You're like the number 2 pick. I'm like, oh, what if you ended up with McKenna and Stenberg or McKenna and Reed and right? Like then you're like, oh,
Gives you a
but
different
then
look into the future, right?
it does. And so how does that connect to Darren Raddysh?
Right. It doesn't. You're bang on, but doesn't it connect to Austin Matthews? Because look, I think it's safe in saying Matthews has committed to the Maple Leafs for this season.
No. Yes. No, Drakes.
Yeah.
Raddysh, Matthews, yes.
Yeah.
Raddysh, a couple of 18-year-olds.
It doesn't match. I hear you.
So that's my only like all of the I hear all of these potential thoughts and I'm like, they make sense. But
Sure.
I guess this is what we do a little bit, but you got to wait and see what this dusts off to be.
Agreed. Yeah.
Because there is, if you look at the very best teams, and now we have to include Carolina, and because they've just won the cup, and I'm telling you that is an incredible team.
Really good.
They stayed on the same path. It took them 8 years, but they stayed on the same path. They weren't wildly veering all over the place. Florida, once they got it, it took them some time, but once they got ownership sorted and they were able to bring in Billy Zito and they became a team with this is our vision. They never veered off the path, and they went and did it again. They didn't go get a 5'9" forward. They went and got another big horse.
Yeah.
And so they're on their path. Tampa stayed on their path. So the only way in my mind to success, it's not copying the other guys. It's building your path, your vision, and staying on that path as much as you can. And that to me is the secret sauce to this whole thing.
Excellent stuff. Those are your headlines. Thank you to the Canadian Brewhouse. So it's going to be a fun week. Could be a bit hair-raising, as we've established through headlines, right? I mean, it is the season. It's not just about teams preparing for the draft. There's just so much going on. Just so much. So many big names that are potentially in play. So are you intrigued by it? Are you looking forward to it? Or you're just like, I'm going to sit back. I'm going to play some golf this week. I'm just going to let the chips fall where they may. I don't really have anything invested in this. Doesn't matter to me. Like, how closely are you monitoring?
I will follow along. I've got a very busy week.
Okay.
So I'm playing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. I had to take Thursday off. Today, making a continued swoop around golf clubs in the Lower Mainland is James Duthie. And so today
I've heard this.
By the way, he was terrible in our opening round. Terrible.
Like, what does terrible mean? Like 85?
North.
Higher. Interesting.
And
That would
so
crush him. Yeah.
he was not happy. He's looking forward to a second round today. We're playing with Dan Murphy today, and
Okay.
so that this is Monday, and then I think after the Wednesday Canada game,
Yeah.
after James, then he's got his times. Okay, I can do it before my 2:00 hit and the practice for Canada, or after. He's working hard, so we've got a busy week of golf ahead of us.
Yeah.
But
So
I
I
will be
reached out.
following because I'll be following
Yeah.
because I think it's like I don't need to dial in until the games, but
No.
this is like Monopoly right now,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
super interesting.
Can you do me a favor with James when you see him this afternoon? Just send him
Sure.
a simple message from Dregs. You are dead to me.
Oh, really? I will most certainly.
I shared something in confidence with him that matters. I think it was like Wednesday or Thursday. And he's like, okay. He goes, I'll give you a call. I want to talk to you about this on the weekend. Crickets, feathers.
Which
nothing.
weekend?
Yeah,
Knowing
exactly.
Duffy, he'll say which weekend. I didn't specify. But
Dead
I'm
to
telling you,
me.
Drakes,
Yeah.
he's busy. He's busy
Oh,
because
yeah.
he's.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, he's got his rental car. We always joke about this. For those of you that don't know James Duffy, he's got every golf gadget on the planet.
Yeah.
So we walk out to his car after, and he throws his clubs in the back, and there's this golf gadget thing that's supposed to increase your swing speed. And I go, oh, what is this? And so he looks at it, and then he gets into the thing. While it measures your swing speed, it's got an app. It's supposed to increase your speed by this and that. I was like, oh, you're crazy, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I cracked up as soon as I saw it.
It's increasing his score. That's what it's increasing.
It is. It really is. Oh, and by the
All
way,
right, buddy.
do you have any buddies that use that goofy aim and point thing to line up their putts?
No.
Yeah, Duffy. Move it along. You don't make any putts anyway. Move it along. So
Can you please video some of this stuff? We have to
I will
document.
actually, you know what? That's a great idea. I will video that today. It's awesome.
All right, man. We'll hit them straight and say
we
hi to
will.
the fellas.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Hope you guys all have a great day, great week. We'll talk later on. Have a good one, Drakes.
Yeah, thanks, Ray. It is going to be a week. We know that. And thank you to our sponsors who continue to support us here on the Ray and Dregs podcast. Our title sponsor, Tim Hortons, thank you. Thank you to the Canadian Brew House as well. Until next time, enjoy this week of chaos and stay safe, everybody.